Hi, Mister. How are you? My name is Daniel Flores, and I'm going to present you my lesson plan 15 from my second term report. The topic is Gerunds and Infinitives. The four objectives that I used in my lesson plan were the following. First, listening objective was distinguish between gerunds and infinitives in sentences. My speaking objective was to discuss using gerunds and infinitives. How to make a conversation using gerunds and infinitives. And the reading objective was understand why gerunds and infinitives is appropriate to use in certain context. And my writing objective was create sentences with gerunds and infinitives. Now, in the next part from my lesson plan, I've got two methodologies and two strategies. The two methodologies that I used were the following. The first one, high-tech to approach to learning. That means that teachers use many different types of technology to aid students in their classroom learning. Nowadays, it is important that we use the technology in order to help them to learn. There is a variety of sources on web that we can look for or search. And the second methodology that I used was student-centered to approach to learning. That means that students assumed a much more active role for the learning process. In this way of teaching, the virtual way, we need that our students assume this. That's why I chose this methodology. The two strategies that I use are the following. The first one, computer games, as I told you, because I really love this part, because I think that our students will learn by playing. That is the best way of learning, by playing. And students use review or explore concept by doing this, by playing or doing exercises online. And the second strategy was the think, pair, share. You will wonder what does it mean? It means that students think individually, then pair together to discuss and answer a question, and then share ideas with the class. And I really like this strategy too. In the next part from a lesson plan is the anticipatory set. In this part, I write a sentence on the board. For example, we love teaching English. Then the teacher, me, on purpose write a sentence in a wrong way. Like, for example, we love to teach English. So I ask the students, this is, I tell students, this is a gerund in a sentence. Students most probably will correct me. The students that have seen this topic before or have learned this topic before, they will correct me. They will say, hey, mister, we love to teach English is incorrect. That's not correct. Okay? So this is for catching their attention if they are concentrate in the class. And I let students write 3 gerund and infinitive sentences on the whiteboard Zoom session. Okay? This is just the anticipatory set. In the next part, the main teaching input, in this part, I played a video. I play a video that contains gerunds and infinitives explanation and the way that they are formed. Okay? So, I write after the explanation, after watching the video with the explanation, I write 3 sentences, 3 infinitive sentences. For example, Leila has to wash dishes. Another example, Ali tries to concentrate. And another example, excuse me, another example, Egyptians decided to build pyramids. 3 examples. After that, students will be asked to look carefully and figure out how to write sentences with gerunds. Okay? Yes, this is interesting. This is interesting because we have to try to elicit difference between gerunds and infinitive within sentences, and they have to learn how to do the same thing. If students don't know how to do it, I write the most common verbs followed by gerunds and infinitives. If they cannot figure out how to write, okay? Because I've got to help my students. Okay? I ask students to figure out the structure. After that, I ask them to figure out the structure by looking. If they cannot do it, it's okay. I write the sentence structure. I write the structures. For example, the subject, followed by the verb, followed by the infinitive, and the complement. And if I make a sentence with infinitives. But if I make sentence with gerunds, I write the subject followed by the verb, followed by the gerund and the complement. Both structures, I write them on the whiteboard of Zoom. After doing this activity, it's part of the modeling part. In this part, I ask students what they noticed. What did you notice? I make the question, what do you notice about how I write sentences using gerunds and infinitives? And I got to listen. I've got to be careful because I have to listen carefully. Okay? As students know what they realized, I got to pay attention what they have understood. Sorry. I review if they missed the grammar talked or I taught to get through the tough part. This is my role. When they still don't understand something, I help them. That's why I use this modeling in my classes, especially in this lesson plan. because some people make make some mistakes at the moment of writing or using the gerund and infinitive in a sentence. They always make mistakes. Okay, I was one of them. I was one of them. But when I finally learned that after some verbs, you've got to write, or after some prepositions, you write. It could be either the gerund or the infinitive. My my knowledge changed totally changed. After that, the next part, sorry, I present in the guided practice. I present on the Scream of Zoom session the gerund and infinitive worksheet in order to practice with the students and let them write the answers of each exercise on screen with my guideline. The teacher guideline is very important when they are doing the exercise online. They are writing and answering in the whiteboard of Zoom. This activity will be more challenging if they do it by their own, and so I have to tell this in the class. If they want to do it something more challenging, they can do it by their own, and at the end they can check their answers. But they will still receive my help. In the next part, it is the independent practice that they've got to practice by their own. And that's why I will tell students about the game quizzes. I use quizzes in this lesson plan. Quizzes about gerund and infinitives. I send the link of the game by Zoom's direct message and demonstrate how to play the game. And after completing the exercise, they got to know that the fastest student will win. Okay? And it will be more challenging for them. They will feel enthusiastic. That's why I told you at the beginning, learning by playing. In the next part, in the assessment part of my lesson plan, through questioning, I can check if students understand the grammar knowledge, which would be important to upcoming stage. If not, some adjustment or reteaching may be necessary in the practice and production stage by observing students' answer. Teacher can assess if the students can use the form accurately. It is important. If we need to adjust something or change something, change or reteach something, we've got to do it, because this lesson plan is the way that we are going to do it. We can do something extra if we really need, but we have to be prepared. That's why we always make lesson plans. And this is my assessment. And in the last part, in the closing review, I distribute a handout which includes 2 groups of exercises with gerunds and infinitives, and 4 sentences. With gerunds, four gerund sentences and 4 infinitive sentences. Of course, I monitor the students to see if they need any help. Obviously, I invite students to write their answers on the whiteboard. And this is my lesson plan number 15. I hope that you liked Mister, and have a nice rest of the day. Take care. Bye, Mister.